Completing the 2019-20 Apprenticeship Learning Agreement. Please complete all relevant sections of the form in block capitals and black pen, tick where appropriate. This enables scanning and OCR software to easily capture the information. Page 1. Information about the apprentice. Enter all the required personal details here. Page 2. Employment information. Enter all the relevant information about the employer, which should match the information you hold in the employer agreement for that employer. Start date of employment. Please complete this. Contracted hours per week. Complete this carefully, as those below a certain number of hours will have to have their apprenticeship duration extended. The minimum duration of each apprenticeship is based on the apprentice working at least 30 hours a week, which is classified as full-time. If the apprentice works fewer than 30 hours a week, you must extend the expected duration of the apprenticeship. In addition, this calculation is used to determine the number of off-the-job training hours the apprentice will need. A copy of the apprenticeship agreement is on file. Tick this to confirm that you have been given a copy of the apprenticeship agreement. If you have not, the apprenticeship cannot begin. A copy of the employer agreement is on file. Tick this to confirm that you have a fully completed employer agreement on file. If you have not, the apprenticeship cannot begin. Tick to indicate whether the employer is a levy payer or a non-levy payer. SME waiver applies. The government will fund all of the apprenticeship training costs up to the maximum value of the funding band of the apprenticeship for employers employing fewer than 50 people if, on the first day of their apprenticeship, the apprentice is aged between 16 and 18 years old, or 15 years old if the apprentice's 16th birthday is between the last Friday of June and the 31st of August, or aged between 19 and 24 years old and has either an EHC plan provided by their local authority or has been in the care of their local authority. You must not request any employer contribution to the cost of an apprenticeship up to the maximum value of the funding band if an employer employing fewer than 50 people recruits an eligible apprentice. Tick to indicate if this applies. 16 to 18 incentive applies. The employer will receive a payment towards the additional cost associated with training if, at the start of the apprenticeship, the apprentice is aged between 16 and 18 years old, or 15 years of age if the apprentice's 16th birthday is between the last Friday of June and the 31st of August, or aged between 19 and 24 years old and has either an education, health and care (EHC) plan provided by their local authority or has been in the care of their local authority. Tick to indicate if this applies. Organisation name for incentive payment. Complete this if the 16 to 18 incentive applies, indicating the name any payment should be made out to. Please input the skill, trade, job title or occupation the apprentice is being trained for, or attach a job description and note below. Continuing with page 2 to 4, initial and other assessments. Ensure you complete this section fully and completely. This is vital to providing a high quality service and ensuring the costs are valid and relevant to the training provided. If your assessments are completed elsewhere, i.e. online, tick to indicate this. Learning difficulties, disabilities and support needs. Tick the first checkbox to indicate if the apprentice has particular needs. If you do, you will also need to tick the second checkbox, a support plan is attached, as you must attach a support plan. A list of the LDD codes will be available in the description below. Enter the start date of support and the planned end date of support if the learner is receiving additional support. If the apprentice has an education, health and care plan, tick the EHC checkbox to confirm. English and maths. Using the checkboxes under exemptions, tick what is appropriate if the apprentice is exempt from undertaking English, maths or both. You must retain evidence in order to claim exemptions. In the text box, how will the apprentice's existing skills be further improved? Indicate how you will provide training that will stretch the learner's existing skills. If the learner is not exempt from English and/or maths, you will need to diagnose their skill levels. Enter the results in the two boxes provided, English diagnostic results and Maths diagnostic results. Then confirm in the checkboxes underneath what level English and/or Maths the apprentice will be undertaking. Remember, these details for apprentices without English and/or Maths at level 2. For level 2 apprenticeships, the apprentice must have, as a minimum, level 1 English and Maths. The apprentice will then need to undertake the level 2 English and/or Maths examinations. There may be exception to this, as the framework or standard specification the apprentice is undertaking may require higher, so be sure to check. For level 3 and higher level apprenticeships, the apprentice will need to pass the level 2 English and/or Maths. In the text box not titled Notes, enter any additional support the apprentice will receive for their English and/or Maths studies. Page 3. Prior qualifications. List the prior qualifications held by the apprentice. Use a separate sheet of paper to continue if required and attach it to the agreement. Work experience, including skills developed and previous learning. Tick the appropriate checkboxes indicating whether the apprentice is a new employee and/or a young person. In the text box, complete how many years in their current role if they are an existing employee. The text box can be used to summarize their knowledge, skills, behaviors, and experience. These will indicate a general sense of whether the apprenticeship program needs to be reduced to account for prior learning, etc. For an example that illustrates best practice, please refer to the Completing the 2019-20 Apprenticeship Learning Agreement Guidance paper in the description below. Page 4. Assessments undertaken. Tick the checkboxes to indicate what types of assessments have been undertaken. Baseline skills. This section will be repeated at the end of the apprenticeship program to assess how far the apprentice has progressed in terms of soft skills. Using the apprentice's responses, complete each box with their appropriate letter indicating their own assessment. Outcome notes and recommendations. Use the checkboxes to indicate the outcome of the assessments and the text box to summarize the recommendations. It is crucial to indicate that if the apprentice has prior learning, experience, and skills which mean the apprenticeship program is to be reduced in terms of duration and cost, this assessment is recorded here. If the apprentice is an existing employee or is progressing from a lower level apprenticeship in the same sector, it is likely that some reduction will apply. Please be sure to check the apprentice's prior knowledge, prior learning, experience, and skills against their appropriate standard or framework specifications. Page 5. The apprenticeship program. The code is pre-filled. ZPROG001 is the program code for all apprenticeships. Write the name of the framework or standard in the text box provided. Underneath, in framework/standard reference, enter the reference number, the pathway, if this is a framework, and the level, 2, 3, etc. Enter the start date. This is the date the apprentice actually starts learning on their program, not their employment date. These may be the same, but not always. Enter the planned end date, the date on which you agree the apprentice will be completed. Judge this date wisely, based on the apprentice's assessments and the nature of the program. The practical period end date is for standards only. This is when the program will be completed before the EPA is taken. Enter the duration in months. Enter the agreed TNP or total negotiated price. This should take account of the price agreed with the employer within the employer agreement, but can be lower if the program has been reduced due to the apprentice's prior learning, as indicated in the earlier section. If the apprentice is undertaking an apprenticeship program at the same level or a lower level than their existing qualifications, enter the reasons why this is occurring in the text box, e.g. the apprentice may have a level 3 qualification, but due to a new role involving substantial new skills, they may need to undertake a level 2 apprenticeship. Component qualifications, aims, and areas. Here you will input details for any further aims the learner has within their apprenticeship or standard, for example, functional skills, maths or English. In this section, enter the qualification aim reference number. You can search for reference numbers on the hub. There is a link in the description. Some apprenticeship programs won't have qualifications within them, like some standards, but still may have English and/or maths qualifications. These need to be entered. All qualifications need to be recorded with the relevant start and planned end dates. These may vary from the overall ZProg 001 start date. Functional skills maths may start a little later into the program, for example, but they need to be on or before its planned end date. In the "This is funded by" selection of checkboxes, tick the ones that apply. This can be more than one. In the "To be delivered by" selection of checkboxes, tick the ones that apply. This can also be more than one. Page 6. Off-the-job training. Off-the-job training must be directly relevant to the apprenticeship. It can include the following: the teaching of theory, for example, lectures, role-playing, simulation exercises, online learning, and manufacturer training; practical training, shadowing, mentoring, industry visits, and participation in competitions; or the learning support and time spent writing assessments/assignments. It does not include training to acquire knowledge, skills, and behaviours that are not required in the standard or framework; progress reviews or on-programme assessment required for an apprenticeship framework or standard; or training which takes place outside the apprentice's normal working hours. Calculation. When calculating the required amount of off-the-job training, the apprentice's statutory leave entitlement should be deducted. Employees who work a 5-day week receive at least 28 days paid annual holiday. This is the statutory leave entitlement referred to and is the one equivalent of 5.6 weeks of holiday. You should pro-rata this for part-time workers. It should be clear to all parties how you have worked out the amount of off-the-job training required. In the first box, enter the number of contracted hours per week. Then enter the length of program in weeks. Finally, enter the annual leave in weeks. Using the guide on the document, calculate the total off-the-job hours required and enter this into the text box. Planning. Using the boxes provided, summarise the activity, hours, and who will be delivering the off-the-job training. Use a separate sheet if required. If you tick that the employer will be delivering some off-the-job elements and they could incur costs in doing so, they may require payment from you. Because they will be receiving payment from government funds, they will have to be recorded as a subcontractor and therefore will be subject to due diligence, auditing of delivery, auditing of actual costs recorded against what is claimed, Ofsted inspection. Because of these requirements, we do not ordinarily recommend employer delivery of elements of the apprenticeship program. Finally, total the amount of hours detailed in the plan. If you have recorded the off-the-job planning elsewhere, example online, tick the checkbox to indicate this. Page 7. Evidence of starting date. In the text box provided, detail the learning that took place on the start date of the program. It is important to note that the recorded start date is evidenced by learning and not administrative activities or employment date alone. Our partners. If the program is being delivered by or with a subcontracted partner, ensure the apprentice and employer read this section. In the text box, partner organisation, enter the name of this subcontracted partner, and below this, their contact details and the management fee percentage charged to them by the college. Page 8. Privacy notices and welfare. Ensure the apprentice and employer read and understand the elements on this page. Pages 9 through 12. Commitment statements. Page 9. Commitment statement. The college and its partner. It is crucial that the apprentice and the employer read and understand this section to enable them to see what the college and its partner commit to providing. Page 10. Please ensure these boxes are ticked to confirm that you have discussed the commitments with the apprentice and employer and that a plan of learning has been developed and provided. Sign and complete the signature and date. The college. Ensure the employer notes that if they are a levy payer, the college's UK PRN is listed in this section, used for DAS purposes. Page 11. Commitment statement, the employer. It is crucial that the apprentice and the employer read and understand this section to enable them to see what the employer commits to providing. Ensure the checkbox is ticked to confirm that you have discussed the commitments with the employer. Get the employer to sign and complete the signature, date, etc. text boxes. Page 12. Commitment statement, the apprentice. It is crucial that the apprentice read and understand this section to enable them to see what the apprentice commits to doing. Ensure the checkbox is ticked to confirm that you have discussed the commitments with the apprentice. Get the apprentice to sign and complete the signature, date, etc. text boxes. Data required by the government. Tick all that apply. Consent for contact. Tick all that apply. This guidance has been brought to you by the Funding, Data and External Contracts team of the Heart of Worcestershire College. If you have any questions or would like further guidance, please contact us. You can find our contact details in the partner portal link in the description below.